If I recognize it, that I have to check, how is it possible that I still argue? If I still argue, that's an alarm clock for me to check. I'm defending a particular idea, so I want to drop.
So already the higher mind has discriminated.
If I recognize.
If you recognize.
Yes. So this is why I asked the question, and this question is powerful. You ask yourself, if you got into an argument just because it's a habit, you ask, do I want to be right? Or I want to know the truth? Or I want to be right? Or I want to experience peace? Yeah? It's, let's say, somebody tells me, I want to know the truth and experience peace. Until somebody tells me something I don't like, and now I don't want to know the truth. I want to express what I believe is the truth. Then I don't want to know the truth in that moment, and it's 1 or 0. It's like I don't have another opportunity. This is what the mind in the beginning doesn't comprehend. Means when I protect a thought, either I stop it right now or I perpetuate it. Later I don't have another opportunity.
It's do or die.
Yes. This is why there's a beautiful story. It's actually a nice book. Yeah, it's a nice book to get. It's called Living with the Himalayan Master or Masters. So it's a young boy that the master, in the story just briefly, the master went to a couple that they were trying to conceive a baby and they couldn't. So he told them that he will give them blessings, yet once they have in a year or whatever time the baby, at an age of 3 he would come and take it. And they accepted, and he gave them blessing, and a year later or whatever the child was born, and then at the age of 3 he took him. And he lived with this master in the Himalayas. And this master used to send him to other masters that he knew all over India to be exposed to different teachings, different practice, to go through the process and awaken. And there is a story there that one day he would only eat once a day. They would have rice and whatever. And one day the master comes to the boy and tells him there is a sadhu, a yogi, that hasn't eaten for 4 days. So I ask you to give him your meal out of action of love and compassion. And the boy had in his mind, I'm hungry. If I'm not going to get this meal, I'm not going to have this meal. So I don't love and no act of compassion, and I don't want to give my meal to this man. So the master told him, I invite you to do it, or I will command you to do it. Yes? And he resisted. It's somewhere like that. It's nice to read this. And then he tells him, in the point of weakness, either you give in to it, you lose the battle of life right now, or you give it up. You give up that idea that you are attached to, that you have to eat, that you're not going to have food, that you just give it up. And the boy gave up and was willing to give this yogi or sadhu the food. When the man came, the older man, he told him to wash the feet of this man, and the master asked the yogi to bless the boy. So the yogi blessed him, and he said, I bless you that unless food is presented in front of you, you would not experience or desire food. And the boy, it permeated so deeply in the voice that from that moment on, he did not experience hunger unless food was presented to him.
Gift.
Maybe that could happen to me.
It's the most important is to recognize that whether you would perceive hunger in the body, the mind would not react to it. And if it would react to it, you can observe it and then it pass away, just a thought. So there's a woman that's very sincerely doing a really deep work already for a few years. And one of the times I fasted for 31 days or 30 days, I don't recall. And as I started, she said that she would join, she would like to do it too. So we did it in conjunction. She did it herself and I was doing it by myself. She was already doing discriminating, inquiring, concentrating, really seeing within, exploring her experience. And what she, up to that point, she was panicking around food. Everywhere she goes, she needed to have food, that she won't be hungry, so if she's hungry, she's gonna eat. She was fasting for 30 days, and through it, what revealed to her that hunger is just an idea. It's nothing. So if it's just a thought, if you discriminate the thought, the hunger is gone. So she not only understood it, she experienced it over and over again, so the understanding and the experience was complete. And her fear of not having food fell away. Okay?
I don't have a fear of not having food.
I'm just using an analogy. I do not know about you, or it's just I shared that there's two places that the mind at least easily reacts, is food and sleep. Are all around body identification.
It's the most reactive.
I wouldn't say it's the most, it's a place that is very interesting to explore it.
And is there a reason for that they give? Why food and sleep?
Yeah, food is body and sleep is body. Body identification. Body, the physical body, is food modification of food, and the one who is sleeping is the body.
Okay.
These are both. So even monks that they eat very little or once or twice a day is to bring the reactivity around this subject into the surface so it can be seen, cleansed. A lot of the practices are to purify the mind, is to stop identify with the reactivity of the mind, which is the ego, because the ego is made up of reactivity. So they do different practices for purification, because when the mind is purified and less reactive, then discrimination can awaken and inquiry into the self and all of that. And the awareness, which is you, can shine through. So practice is a form of shower. You don't gain through practice the direct experience of who you are. You don't gain anything when you shower. You just remove the dirt, because the dirt was accumulated. You were, prior to that being dirty, clean. So prior to identifying with the thought, you are pure consciousness itself. After identifying with the thought, you just forgot who you are, so you think that you are the thought, and if you will get rid from the identification of the thought, you will gain awareness from the point of view of the mind, and that's not the truth. You just clean the false identification. Your true nature is identify yourself as pure consciousness, or whatever name we want to give it.
So it is a practice of discrimination,
Yes.
discerning.
Without discrimination, the mind cannot wake itself out
Can
of the
wake
dream.
itself up. So it is
And
a
it doesn't clean like that. It doesn't claim what it is not. Yeah, the mind can only know what I am not. It cannot know who I am. Yet when I experience directly who I am, there is a knowing. I know that I am that, not as a thought, because that knowing is awareness, knows itself
So that's right.
as itself.
So it cannot be the mind.
That's
it
right.
has to be the experience.
Yes. An experience I cannot understand with the mind.
Right. That's
Anything I would understand would be in the realm of the
Of the
mind.
mind.
There's
And that
nothing to understand
So
in
that would be the
experience.
tool to discriminate against an illusion.
Yes. The tool actually is undoing the illusion, means going in
Yeah.
reverse,
Okay.
withdrawing into who I am.
Mhm. Standing up so you don't fall asleep.
Yeah, that's good. This is why standing meditation,
Yes.
if you're tired, is very effective, because you cannot fall asleep when you stand, because the moment someone falls asleep for a moment when they stand, they lose their center. Think it's like a Zen stick. It wakes you up, so you don't need to be
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah. You don't know this one. I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's universal. Unless the body faints,
Yeah.
which I've seen people just fall, usually it's not because they fell asleep. It's because the energy was pushing, they got nauseated,
Or
they fainted,
hypoglycemic,
yeah,
yes.
whatever.
It's a physical thing.
Even
With
the
the fainting.
physical is mental.
Yeah. Physical
The physical
is meant.
is actually mental. It is expressed in the body, yet the body is a conceptual image in
So
the
yeah,
mind.
it's a thought. So therefore it's mental.
All the bodily sensation that we experience is actually perceived in the mind, so they appear in the mind only. We just condition to believe that we are this object, and the object exists by itself, when in fact the object is a conceptual image in the mind.
Mhm.
What is called mind is a wondrous power residing in the self. It causes all thoughts to arise. Apart from thoughts, there is no such thing as mind. Therefore, thought is the nature of mind. Apart from thoughts, there is no independent entity called the world. This is why, if you want to, Ramana said, it's really easy to get the world, the whole universe, to be subordinated to you. Get the mind to be subordinated, then you subordinate the whole universe.
Yeah, that's
Okay? If you want to master the universe, master the mind,
what
get it back to reside in awareness.
Right.
Now you're beyond mastery.
That's why I said the
Beyond the
mind
mind.
has to be abdicated to the source. Mhm. Yeah. No other way.
I haven't found another way.
So far, nobody in the books have found another way. None of the masters.
No, I see that it's all pointing to the same, and when you are following the principle, which is knowledge, you directly experience it for yourself. So you have no doubt. It's like you know from understanding, and you experience of the knowing of who you are. So it's complete. It's not like, okay, I understand yet, and I understand it mentally, and I see it inside, yet I don't have the experience, which is the knowing of pure consciousness. Knowing I am that. I am pure consciousness. Undoubtedly, I cannot even deny the experience, neither are you. Because even if you have any experience and you deny an experience, the denial is a thought appearing in the field of experience. And that field of experience is the field of consciousness. So if there is discrimination, the eyes can see two objects without even mental activity. The mind has the ability, or there is awareness that sees and it discerns. If thoughts appear, it discriminates it without mental activity, and when the thought disappears, awareness only sees itself.
You're saying that discrimination is not a mental activity.
It can be one layer, like the inquiry,
Right.
and then it is without mental activity. Like inquiry into the self can be mental,
Yeah.
and without mental activity. Means
Without mental activity, then you've entered into the source.
yes, you are always that. So
You dissolve the activity.
no,
No.
the activity disappear by itself.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that you're doing the thinking. Yeah, thoughts appear and disappear.
Right.
So it appears from awareness and disappears into awareness.
Right.
So appears and disappears, right? Are you doing it, or it happens?
That happens.
Because if I take the
And does that have a
responsibility,
name? And does that have a name? What that happening, that dissolving, that disappearing?
no, that's the nature of movement. Appears and disappear.
That's
Thought
nature.
appears and disappear. Objects come and go. They don't stay. Nothing stays.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Each one.
And I know, but it could be considered a mental activity if it's labeled such.
So why don't we, let's for a moment explore the experience instead
Okay.
of, yes? So one moment, be still. And there's an immediate presence which is silently aware. Now, you just remain watchful, aware, and by itself a thought or an image would appear whenever it does. So there would be moments suddenly you saw the thoughts without talking with them.
Yes.
Isn't
Yeah,
it? That's discrimination.
That's the
You saw that
Yeah.
you experience
I
yourself,
just saw it, so that sawing is not a mental activity.
isn't it? Did you activate any activity?
No.
A question?
No.
When you activate the question, it's a mental activity. See, so that way I can share that I never think,
Yeah.
because this is what I directly experience. I'm awareness, thoughts appear and disappear, so am I thinking it? They appear and disappear, just like clouds
Yeah.
or raindrops
It's not
or
It's not necessary to think.
it's thoughts appear and disappear.
So it's not necessary to think.
And
Unless you focus on a thought.
yeah, and even then, it's not you who's thinking,
Yes. Yes.
because you're that which is changeless.
Yes. So what happens is actually what happens, it becomes a tool of that. Pure consciousness.
Yeah, at least that
So what is that
it is
proper word,
expressing.
a tool?
Yeah, it's talking or thinking on behalf of awareness.
That's right, exactly. That's my experience. All the way down to the object.
It was always doing it. It's just that there is suddenly there for some reason there was a confusion and forgetfulness, and then they appeared like there is an individual entity that nobody ever found.
There was no work.
Almost everybody believed that there is one, just because one reason: they don't look for it. Because if I don't look for it, I am justifying it. The mind is talking on the behalf of it. So basically, there is no king. Somebody said, a rumor, there is king. And there is already a palace full of servants. And now one servant passes, this is what the king said, go and announce it. And then he announces to all the servants there is a big event. And they say a day later, the king is sick. So they talk to this servant, and then he announces to all the servants and all the rest of the people. So they speak on behalf of the king. Nobody stopped and said, wait a minute, I've never met this king. I've never seen this king. Yes, I experience his presence in the palace. That's the king. So when they start to look for the king, they realize he's not there, and the presence is pure consciousness. So the king is, in this metaphor, is the false separate self.
Yeah, it's
The ego that doesn't exist. And the presence never say anything. So if there's no recognition of the presence of awareness, then the mind speaks on the behalf of the king that doesn't exist. When one starts to question, I'd like to meet this king, I demand to see it, I want to explore until I meet it, face to face. I want to see if he is there. I don't want to speak anymore on behalf of somebody that doesn't exist. Yet, what happens? The mind doesn't even stop and question, is there a king or not? He take it for granted that there is a king. No questions asked. They told me, I believe it, and whatever I believe is the truth, and I'm a physical object, and look, so many around telling me and targeting everything that